Okay, welcome back to the channel. You are here for it, the full review of the all-new Samsung Galaxy Tab S9 FE. In today's video, we're going to be covering price, build quality, performance, user experience, and of course, at the end, we will go over whether I recommend the all-new Samsung Galaxy Tab S9 FE here. Let's go ahead and jump in. First things first, the all-new Samsung Galaxy Tab S9 FE series actually contains two models, the larger one, the Samsung Galaxy Tab S9 FE Plus, and of course the one that I'm reviewing today, the Tab S9 FE. This bad boy here will run you $450, and that's going to be for the base 128 gigs of internal storage. And of course, you do have the option to go for the 256 gigs of internal storage as well. And of course, keep in mind that in either case, you are going to be able to expand that internal storage, simply meaning that whether you are picking up the 128 gigs or the 256 gigs of internal storage, you will have the ability to expand that at up to 1 terabyte using a micro SD card. Now, going back to that price, so $450 for the 128, $520 for the 256 gigs. Now, obviously there was a price increase and it's totally normal, especially considering that the most affordable flagship, meaning the regular Samsung Galaxy Tab S9, will cost you $799. And I simply bring this up because I've seen a few comments on the first impressions video that I made on this tablet highlighting the price, saying that it's too expensive, but it's fairly relative, right? When you compare that to flagship devices that Samsung makes and even other manufacturers. I don't think that's where the issue lies. The issue lies on the fact that there are more competitors out there, especially if we want to take a look at, the Xiaomi of the world or the OnePlus Pad that I reviewed here. There's a little bit of competition even within Samsung. If you want to go ahead and compare this guy to flagship from last year, or even the Samsung Galaxy Tab S7 FE, because remember, many people like yourself may be considering or maybe trying to figure out whether to go for the new Tab S9 FE here, or picking up the old Samsung Galaxy Tab S7 FE, which I have here, that I'm going to be pitting against this one. But anyways, I digress there. This is just to show that there are a bunch of different choices. There are options out there if you currently are in the market for this. And this is certainly not a tablet that, I just blindly recommend to everyone. Everyone has their own needs, and depending on your needs, I'll be able to tell you, to either go for this one or the Samsung Galaxy Tab S9 FE Plus here, or the S8 from last year, or the S7 FE, but we'll get to that in a second. Back to the review. When it comes down to just the build quality, Samsung has done this for a while. They've been doing this for such a long time that build quality here, it doesn't necessarily blow my mind, because I always have very high expectations, from Samsung, and they delivered, right? The build quality of this, it feels solid. It's a mid-range tablet, but it feels like a premium tablet. When you hold them side by side, the flagship one doesn't feel that much premium. Of course, it does feel a little bit more premium, but not by that much. But anyway, so build quality, solid. In terms of physical features here, and by the way, before we even jump on the physical features here, keep in mind that the mid-range here actually also does support IP rating, right? Simply meaning that your tablet, to those of you who don't know, is now resistant to water and dust. In case you're not familiar with this channel, I actually did a water test where I dropped the tablets, in a pool of water and left them in there for an hour. So this also does support that feature. So if you were to drop this in a bucket of water in a pool, you will be just fine, which is amazing, which is pretty innovative for this segment of mobile tech. But anyways, back to the tablet here, starting off with the new feature, another new feature that we have here, the power button that we have here now combos as a fingerprint sensor and of course the power button. So you're going to be able to quickly and safely access your tablet here without any issues. Personally, and I always say this, personally, I prefer physical fingerprint sensors simply because they're more secure and they unlock your tablet pretty quickly. And it's been the case since I bought this tablet. it's been unlocking the tablet very, very fast. So my user experience or impressions of this feature, very, very positive. You do have your volume rocker, and then you have some mics around the tablet there that actually help pick up the sound even better. I've been on more than a few video calls here, and in terms of sound quality, that came out very, very nice. You do have 2 speakers, a dual setup speaker, 1 on each side, and that is the proper way of setting up speakers here. And of course, these are tuned by AKG, meaning they're very well worked on, and sound quality coming out is very crisp. Now, it's not as loud as what you would get from a Samsung Galaxy Tab S9 Plus, or even the Samsung Galaxy Tab S9 FE Plus, but I can tell you that it's good enough, and it's very, very crisp. That's the one thing you will have to notice. We have a USB Type-C port here. This is a 2.0 USB Type-C port. To those of you who don't know, that simply means that although you'll be able to get some, relatively fast speed, transfer speed, you are not going to be able to push out video signal, meaning you won't be able to extend the display here to another display or another computer, going through this USB Type-C port. Now, some people say that they have a way, they have ways to do it using adapters. Personally, I'm not able to get it out, but that's just my take there. And then we have some pogo pins here for you to be able to snap on the official cases that come with Samsung. They have some very nice cases. I actually have both for the S9 FE and also the S9 FE Plus here, and they also do fit the regular Samsung Galaxy Tab S9 Plus and the Samsung Galaxy Tab S9. I will make videos on all those, so make sure that you are subscribed to the channel so that you can catch those videos once I drop. Next, here we are just going to quickly highlight the camera that we have on the back there, and this is going to be an 8 megapixel wide camera on the front there, and at the bottom that you have a mic to pick up the sound again. And interestingly enough, on the front of the tablet here is going to be a 12 megapixel ultra wide camera, and I can already tell you that that camera is better in terms of quality, and it's a good thing to have the better camera on the front because nowadays we do a lot of video calling, right? So you're going to be able to make all of those calls without any issues. The camera on the back is decent. It's not necessarily meant for you to take super high definition pictures of videos that you're going to be editing and uploading on social media. Obviously, you are probably doing that already with your phone, but it works well for scanning documents. Again, if you want to take pictures with it, it's fine also, but I'm just saying that it won't be able to keep up with the new flagship phones of the world. Anyways, going back to the display here, what we have is a 10.9 inches LCD display here. The display itself is really nice, I'm going to say. Now, if you happen to have this with a very premium display like the dynamic AMOLED display that we have on the flagship one, obviously you'll be able to notice the difference. The dynamic AMOLED display is going to show colors that are very inky, like inky blacks, inky reds, and even the whites look whiter than what you have on here. But then again, if you just buy this tablet, you will never notice that. It's a beautiful display, and on top of that, it has high refresh rate. It can go up to 90 Hertz. I know many people don't care for that. Many people don't even know what that is. It's simply that as you scroll and as you are, consuming content, things will be smoother than, on your standard display that is normally 60 Hertz, right? So it's a very, very nice addition that Samsung, put on this tablet here, and I really commend them for doing that, especially for something that is in mid-range. And by the way, it is actually pretty smooth. I've seen comments saying, oh, it's 90 Hertz even smooth. Yes, it is smooth. So user experience, just enjoying movies, scrolling through contents, consuming, different contents on different websites has been very enjoyable. Again, positive first impressions and positive user experience overall. I've enjoyed my user experience with that display here. Now, I'm not going to bother you with all of the crazy specs. When it comes down to brightness, I know that's one of the things that many students specifically, who live on campus and who are wondering what it is like to use this tablet outside when it's really bright. It does a pretty decent job outside. In terms of nits, which is how you would measure brightness, you're looking at 720 nits when it comes down to peak brightness on this. Now, it's not necessarily going to be the brightest thing out there, but it is going to be bright enough for you to be comfortable using it. You have to keep in mind that this is a mid-range $450 tablet, right? So you shouldn't be expecting the world from a tablet that costs as much. Let's go ahead and jump on to the performance. I know many of you are waiting to hear about the performance. And before we even jump onto that, the color that I have here is mint. They have 4 colors available. You do have the mint, you have the lavender, which is the color that I have on my S9, Tab S9 FE Plus. I'm gonna have to get used to those names. And then you have a silver, and you do have a gray, which is the darker one. And I do like the lavender more, but that's just me there. Anyway, so let's go ahead and hop into performance here. My experience, again, has been positive because I know that it's a mid-range tablet, and I'm not expecting for this tablet to perform like, you know, the ultra premium Samsung Galaxy Tab S9 or, you know, an iPad Pro, for example, right? So when it comes down to fulfilling its task as a mid-range tablet, it's been doing a fantastic job. Now, I did mention during my first impressions video that when I initially started using the tablet, because it had a lot of things running in the background, the tablet crashed 2 times, right? And it even got warm. It got pretty warm, but that's totally normal. I have plenty of data. Every time, you know, I'm trying to get one of my devices up to date, there's a lot of data to be transferred. So it's totally normal. Since that day, I haven't experienced any types of situation where the tablet got really warm. I know that's one of the concerns that people were having, given that the chipset is an Exynos. A lot of people were thinking that it's going to get warm quickly. It doesn't have a good way to manage heat. You know, obviously it get a little bit warm as you are working on heavier tasks, but nothing concerning. Just maybe a tad bit, I'm going to say lukewarm, maybe. But, you know, other than that, user experience or performance rather has been pretty good when it comes down to light level, medium level, and even some level of, you know, heavy work, right? Or heavy productivity work. It's been pretty good. You do have Samsung DeX here. It does support Samsung DeX. To those of you not, you know, familiar with Samsung DeX, it's a program. I like to call it a program that essentially mimics the way, the UI, the user interface of your laptop, right? It just has that same desktop look, right? You have your icons and you are able to manage windows and tasks there in a more efficient way because it's a lot more flexible. You can toggle back and forth between a number of things and it works pretty well. I mentioned earlier that you get 2 configurations of this tablet, the base 128 gigs, and of course the other config 256 gigs of internal storage. If you were to go for the 128 gigs, that would afford you 6 gigs of RAM, but if you go for the 256 gigs of internal storage, that then affords you 8 gigs of RAM. Now I bring up RAM just to say that you are able to do a number of things and have things run in the background and without having a lot of stuttering happening. Things still flow pretty well. And of course, I need to highlight that if you go really heavy in the productivity, you will notice a little bit of a drop in terms of performance. So every now and then things might lag a little bit, but that's just if you go too heavy because it's not set to work like a productivity tablet. Again, it's a mid-range tablet. And by being a mid-range tablet, it's also loaded with a mid-range chipset, which is an Exynos 1380. I promise I wasn't gonna highlight too many of the specs, but look at it as pretty much almost the same processing power you had on the Samsung Galaxy Tab S7 FE, just a little bit more powerful. And I have to specify the Wi-Fi model of the Tab S7 FE, because if you remember, the Wi-Fi model is the one that was with the Snapdragon 778, which is coming pretty close to what you have here. Now, as far as gaming goes, it's been pretty decent on the Tab S9 FE here. Now, I will specify that with PUBG Mobile, if you go with the highest settings, the gaming experience is definitely going to suffer. But if you keep everything kind of in the middle there, you'll be just fine. But anyway, so performance here has been excellent, at least from the perspective of mid-range. It's running Android 13, and I've had no issues, especially with the version of One UI that's sitting there, meaning the skin, you know, that you use to interact with the tablet. Everything flows and works perfectly here. You also do have obviously a S Pen here, and this comes included with the Samsung Galaxy Tab S9 FE here. This is the standard Samsung S Pen. It's loaded with a whole rack of features. You're gonna be able to do so many different things with it. I'm not gonna do a full review of this guy here. Just keep in mind that it's also IP68 rated, just like the tablet, so it is water and dust resistant. I may actually get to drop these tablets along with the S Pen in a pool of water to see how it reacts. But anyway, so you can take, or you can push your productivity to the next level using this S Pen here. And again, to those of you not familiar, this is a very, very nice stylus. It feels natural. Personally, I prefer this out of all of the other styluses that you have on the market, including, the Apple Pencil, or the Apple Pencil 2. The next thing I'm going to talk about here is going to be the battery. The battery size here is 8,000 milliamp power. That's the same size that you had on the Samsung Galaxy Tab S9, the flagship from last year, because this is roughly the same size. And I can tell you that it actually works pretty well. It's a pretty large battery, relatively large battery, and you are definitely guaranteed to see an entire day with the tablet before you put it on a charger. And when it comes down to putting it on a charger, the great thing about this is that it does support fast charge at up to 45 watt, which is really good. When you have a device this large, you want to be able to charge it up, fast, right? I'm a power user and I'm able to see the entire day with this. So even though it's subjective, I think I'm still comfortable saying that you are gonna be okay with this battery-wise. Now, finally, let's go ahead and highlight accessories. As I mentioned earlier, I picked up 2 of the accessories, one for the Samsung Galaxy Tab S9 FE here and the Galaxy Tab S9 FE Plus. And this, the one that fits the Tab S9 FE here, will also fit the regular Samsung Galaxy Tab S9. And that would be a case also for the one that fits the S9 FE Plus here. It will fit the regular Samsung Galaxy Tab S9 Plus as well. So I make sure to make those videos and test out all of those tablets so you can see the fit, and I'm also going to review the accessories themselves. Now, with all of this said, I do recommend the all-new Samsung Galaxy Tab S9 FE here. However, it's certainly not a tablet made for everyone. Now, it's a great tablet for, students, casual and mid-level. You upgrade from a budget tablet, this would be a nice pickup. And to those of you whom I would recommend this tablet to, you're going to be able to enjoy a number of new things, new features that would include a nice display here with high refresh rate, which is very, very important for user experience. A perfect size tablet. You're going to have more RAM available here, depending of the config you go for. Either way, it'll be more RAM that you had last year. This thing here is water and dust resistant. You have software support, because Samsung is going to support this longer than the other ones that dropped last year or the year before, right? You have 4 years of major updates, and then of course 5 years of security updates, which is just crucial, right? To those of you who are planning on hanging onto their tablet longer. You also can enjoy the new accessories, as I mentioned, compatible with this, and also the Samsung Galaxy Tab S9, Samsung DeX. It does support Samsung DeX. You're going to be able to enjoy Samsung DeX here. Now, that said, there are some of you to whom I would not recommend this, especially to those of you looking to buy something with a large display, or looking for something with a super AMOLED display, or a dynamic AMOLED display, or OLED display in general, or to those of you looking for something that has, a lot of that raw performance, right? The type of raw performance that can be provided by the Snapdragon, chipset. I definitely would not recommend for you to go for this one. But in either case, you can let me know what you are looking for or what your situation is. Just let me know in the comment section, and I'll make sure to, recommend, at least give you my humble opinion on what you should go for based off of your situation. I'm certainly hoping that this was informative. Let me know if you have any additional questions. I'm going to be continuing to make even more videos on this, just like I will with the Samsung Galaxy Tab S9 FE Plus here. So if you have things that you'd like for me to go ahead and test out, make sure to put those in the comment section. I'm going to catch you in the comment section like I always do. I'm also going to catch you in the next video. Make sure to like, make sure to share the video if you haven't done so already. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't done so already. Share this video with anyone you know would be interested, right? I'm going to make sure that I catch you in the comment section. I'm also going to catch you in the next video. Up until that next video, of course, as always, stay safe out there.